is because they know how to control the external stimulus, control what you think, your internal representations, control your states, and make you behave like Pavlov's dogs. Every human problem is a behavioral problem. Every human problem is a behavioral problem. War is not a problem as itself. It's not an entity. It is a what kind of problem? A problem with what? Human what? Behavior. I thought all problems are behavioral problems. By changing our behaviors, we could change the entire world. We have that ability as humans. So I thought, you know what's exciting, Robbins? You absolutely know how to change any human behavior in an individual. I don't care what it is. If I want to impose, I could do that. I can create any belief system, any change, because I understand enough about human motivation and how to create any set of behaviors, because I can create any state. If I was a bad person, I could make you in a state, as I gave you an example, where you would kill someone if I was a bad person. Because all I'd have to do is put you in a trance, use my external stimulus to create an internal representation. See, so the bottom line is I could change anybody's state and create any behavior individually. On the negative side, I can also do it on the positive side. I can take anybody who felt terrible about anything, somebody who's going to commit suicide, and I can change their state and they no longer commit suicide. I can get that same person who used to be in a prison and get them to do this. Someone who knew they couldn't ever get a job, go out and end up being a partner in a business. I've had that ability, and I'm not special. I just understand the technologies. I want to point something out to you. Here's what this whole talk is about tonight. All human behavior is the result of what? We've talked about this weekend. Result of what? State. All human behavior is the result of state. Now here's what we need to realize. State is the result of what? Internal what? Representations and or physiology. What affects physiology? Temperature, smog, anything in the environment, your biochemistry, the way you eat, any of those will determine your physiology, and that'll determine a lot of your state and what kind of behaviors you produce as an individual. How do you get somebody to be a kamikaze? How do you get someone to create a behavior called kill thyself? One of the things you can do, you got to change their state, because they're not going to kill themselves in a normal, everyday state. They're not going to put their plane into a truck or into a car, into a home, or into a boat or a ship in a normal state. You have to change it. So one way you can do it is change their physiology. So you can drug them. That's one way, right? Another way is you can create internal representations that create a state of pride, strength, beauty associated to this thing called kamikaze. Yeah, you know why they did that? Because they had external stimulus. Just remember this. They had external stimulus from the environment that created representations that if they did this, they would be creating all this other positive stuff. So whenever they thought about killing themselves, it was an internal representation of pride, love, supporting your country, your family would be honored because you were a kamikaze. And they did it over and over again until it was a clear internal representation, they believed it, put it in a state of pride, produced the behavior called kamikaze. But what I want you to realize is, what would happen if we as individuals learned how to provide such congruent external representations about things, by the way we spoke, by the way we used our bodies, by our physiology, that we could change anybody's internal representations, change their state and change their behaviors. What could you create in your life if you developed that kind of skill? What could you create? Let's forget about the global peace. Let's talk on an individual level. If you could change anybody's internal representations about anything by your own way of presenting information, by putting in their sorts, by matching them visually, auditory, kinesthetically, right? By being able to know how to motivate and how to communicate so it creates a new internal representation, a new state, new behavior. If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have? Some people get scared when I say the word control people's behaviors. It's already happening. Why do you reach for the Pepsi, the Coke, the cigarette, the Miller time? What do you think these people have done? They continue to show you external representations of associations of two things, a state you like and something else, a state you like and something else till you've internalized them. And once they're internalized, anytime you have a stimulus outside that's any one of these things, it triggers an internal representation of state and you reach for the beer or the cigarette or the cocaine or the whatever. Somebody's already doing it. See, the question you got to decide is, who's going to run my ship? Is it going to be me? Or is it going to be people who have sat in an office in a high building someplace and decided that the way that they'll make their fortune is by controlling your behaviors? And the way they'll run the world is because they know how to control the external stimulus, control what you think, your internal representations, control your states, and make you behave like Pavlov's dogs. Because the truth is, that's how most of you have been behaving. And I've been one of them too. But I don't want to play that way anymore.